It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Moriah Afolabi Brown. As always, I never do this alone. I have the ladies with me. Nima Akasha Zabiri, how you doing?
I'm fine.
It's been a minute. We're going to be asking, where's Nima? Where's Nima?
She codedly took her own break. She did not shout.
I did not make it.
I want to report.
Fear God.
week
Fear
ago,
God.
she did
Let's
not
use
scream.
this.
Hey, we're being away tomorrow. But you
No, none of us will count weekends.
You're not so today.
Do you count weekends this week? It's
count
only
weekend
3
this
days.
You're not on today.
Yes, I swapped YP. So it's only 3 days. I'm not coming tomorrow. It's only 3 days. 3 days.
What?
Everybody is 3 days,
how are you
but
doing?
my 3, I wanted
You
to...
rest. You look like you were rested.
But I rested.
You slept.
I wanted to come and tell you people I read the book, I did a movie, of all I did was sleep. No, I got the gift of sleep, and I love it when I sleep and I feel rested. And that for me is a gift.
With the rains.
People sleep and they don't... Imagine on Thursday morning, I started sleeping and my head was upside down. And somebody was leaving my house and was saying, I'm going, close the door. I woke up at 2. And the next day, same thing. I just loved that. I felt very rested. And it was my son's birthday on Sunday. And Imran did not let us forget. No, I said it on earlier in the week. I knew I was going to be off. But happy birthday, my baby. Imran is such a big boy now. And Mr. Femi is seeing Pepe in his hands because he would not listen. But I'm so grateful to God. You know, Imran, my miracle baby.
Let me move to Mariam. Auntie, how you doing, Mariam?
I have nothing interesting. I went to the dentist yesterday, so I have this thing that I've always had as a child. I grind my teeth, and I've obviously grounded it to
You now finish
my
the teeth.
dentine.
Yeah.
As in, so it's always sensitive. In fact, when they told me, they said my teeth look like a 60-year-old's teeth. That's how bad my teeth are. But the reason I'm even talking about is that over the years, I've heard this every time I go to the dentist. Oh, you're grinding. It's showing you're grinding. And I always used to, so what do I do? And now that it has gotten to this point, it's still, just palliative measures. I'm like,
palliative measures.
So what do I need to do? I need to get new teeth or something. So yeah, so that's where I am right now.
Hey.
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
Grinding teeth. And unfortunately, so my children have it as well. So it was even yesterday that I realized that my husband says he's always done it too. So unfortunately for these children, both
parents are doing it.
So now...
But you can stop it. I helped my elder sister stop it.
Well,
so if someone is sleeping beside you, once you start grinding, it's usually in your
but
sleep.
if the child is in boarding school, I won't be there to
Yeah.
tap the person. Just the way it happened with me. So there are mouth guards that you can use.
Okay.
That they're saying that for them, if they start early, it may help them. So I hope that. So as for me, in a few years, I may have no teeth left.
They buy teeth everywhere now. Just
How you
buy
doing?
one for you. I'm doing amazing. Grateful to God. And just...
Yeah, it looks really good on you.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, we got to leave what we sell. We got to be what we sell, So, but we're beginning to talk about the Evolve to Become More virtual events. It will be happening on the 7th to the 9th of October, and registration has started. So a lot of people missed the very first physical one we did at Lakwe Resorts. I've been posting testimonies on my page, so you hear from the participants how the program was. And if you're not around Lagos, now you have an opportunity to register instead of flying down. Some people abroad were not able to get in because they had to fly down. So now is an opportunity. We do it, and then we hope that you enjoy the program.
How are you doing, though?
It's part of me now.
I mean, what you know, like, sometimes I want to just hear from BC, the kids, the family.
Yeah, one day at a time.
Nice.
There's something I'm doing deliberately. I'm deliberately taking care of my
As a doctor
inner space.
Congratulations.
Give this girl now.
Doctors in the house.
Doctor concern. I waiting for the next doctor to tell us what she's doing.
Doctor, what's up?
Doctor, what's up? Yeah.
Dr. Moriah.
Please, my girlfriend of mine is her birthday today. I mean, I told her that we're not allowed to do shout-outs, but...
Your girlfriend now. I wouldn't allow our personal family members and friends.
So Rosemary Unwobi, Corporate Affairs Officer, Platform Petroleum Limited, said it's her birthday. Happy birthday, girlfriend.
Happy birthday, doctor's girlfriend.
Don't worry, I'm going to launch it. There's a way I'm going to use it. Let's go on a break. They want to abuse us, finished. Say, how is this affecting their lives?
Who said that? Nobody said that.
We're going to go on a break. When we come back, we go through the front page of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
All right, we're going to start with the nation. Federal government plans salary raise to cushion inflation effects. Students block Lagos Airport Road over the ASUU strike. Why I Killed My Nigerian Lover by Chinese.
Very much.
Why No Policeman Can Slap Civilian. Flood 13 states to stockpile food, evacuate residents. Bishop Cooker, I paid 30 million naira ransom for my priests. Evans jailed for 21 years for kidnapping and collecting $420,000. And Prudential's Zenith Life Insurance profit hits 1.13 billion naira. So let me start with this story of the flood, because it's quite alarming. Quite a number of states, so that's Adamawa, Taraba, Benue, Niger, Niger State, Nasarawa, Kebbi, Kogi, Edo, Delta, Nambra, Cross River, Rivers, and Bayelsa states have been asked to stockpile food, and the government might have to evacuate because they're expecting lots of rain, flood coming up, according to NEMA, the National Emergency Management Agency, says that they have flagged the yellow card because they're urging governments in those identified states to stockpile food and items to evacuate their citizens because there might be lots of flooding. They also reference one that happened in Lagos recently where a man was taken by the water. People were trying to save him. He was waving for help. Unfortunately, the water was too strong to rescue him. But this is quite alarming. According to NEMA's report, over 300 persons have been killed so far, 500 seriously injured, 100,000 displaced, and 500,000 affected by flood in 29 states in that country so far. And we must take precaution. Many countries, when this kind of happens, everybody kind of knows, and then people are now taking various groups. But here, we just until it happens.
Because flood happened for America. I saw a video about the Mississippi River, areas being flooded. And it was handled, but government.
We wait.
But more importantly, I forgot to mention
and then move back.
And this is because they're going to be opening the Kenji, Shiroro, and Jeba dams to overflow in the Cameroon as Cameroon opens that. They do that every year. So those dams are going to be open, and that's going to happen. So those governments of these states must take precautions.
If you know what is up ahead, you plan. It's okay to plan. It's okay to leave, and when it dries up, you come back. But don't stay till death comes. So the major headline, it's just painful that it was in response. So the NLC's public presentation of a compendium, the Nigerian Labour Congress at 40 publication titled Contemporary History of Working Class Struggles, was attended by the Minister for Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, and it was until the TUC President Festus Osifo talked about how workers are being subjugated and oppressed by ruling class that he responded and said, federal government has plans, to increase minimum wage due to inflation, so workers might get an increase. And the government is looking at how inflation has eroded the purchasing power of workers. I would love a conversation around the purchase. The other day I was making an example of how a 200,000 naira salary really doesn't even empower a worker. It used to be somebody's, I'm okay, I don't want to, but now everybody's doing japa because the purchasing power is so weak here.
Low.
And then when you're responding at the conference, it's not exactly a plan that the federal government, I would have loved that it was a fake issue.
No, it's not.
So the human interest story, 47-year-old Chinese national in Kano State, identified as Gen Huangrong, disclosed why he stabbed his girlfriend, Umu Kultum, to death in Kabuga Quarters, Dorayi Baba area of the state. So they said the suspect was arrested after he attacked and killed his 23-year-old girlfriend in her home. That happened Friday night, September 16. And he said he did that because he was betrayed. Now, according to the State Police Public Relations Officer, Abdullahi Haruna, he said that he invaded the compound, scaled the fence, went there and stabbed her multiple times till she died. So first of all, they had a relationship before she got married. And when she got married, he felt betrayed and attempted to commit suicide. But later, that matter was settled. Then after she divorced, they continued the relationship. At this point now, I don't know the exact betrayal again that happened that made him decide to kill her, and he's been arrested. The mob came, but luckily for him, the brother to the girl was around, and so saved him from the mob. But the police has taken him off. He's been arrested. Investigations will commence. It's just...
I think it should be charged.
When we say we should be executing people, there's only 9. Only 9 have been executed since the turn of democracy,
Out of 3,000.
over 2008.
Yes.
Anyway, I have saved the best for last. NDLEA. What is being
Yes!
yes.
That broke the news yesterday.
Being described as the biggest bust ever by the agency. The Director of Media and Advocacy for the agency, Femi Babafemi, on Monday. He talked about this well-coordinated and intelligence-led operation that has that lasted 2 days across different parts of the state. He says that 4 drug barons have been arrested. A Jamaican and a warehouse manager were arrested because there's this warehouse that they busted, and where they found 1.8 tons of illicit drugs. The nation says illicit drugs, but it's cocaine that they found. And they say it was worth over $278 million, which is the equivalent of over 194 billion naira street value of what was seized.
Did you see it?
Yes, I saw the videos.
I saw the video, I'm like,
yes, the lineup of these people. Anyway, they said that it took the names of the people that were arrested. We need to call them. So G. Jibril, a 69-year-old, an indigene of Ibadan, Oyo State. Emmanuel Chuku, a 65-year-old who hails from Ekulobia, Anambra State. Wasiu Akinade, 53, from Ibadan, Oyo State. Sunday Oguntelure, 53, from Okitipupa, Ondo State. And Kelvin Smith, 42, a native of Kingston, Jamaica. So what their plan was to send these drugs to Europe and Asia. That was the plan. And then they said that they are part of an international cartel that they had been monitoring since 2018, and it ended.
You know what? I think
we don't have the religious divide. We don't have ethnic divide.
Yes, in crime.
These are Nigerian criminals. Thank you very much. And I think Nollywood needs to do a movie on this one. This bust, especially if I was a producer at this one, this is a movie I'm going to sit down with NDLE. Tell me what happened, because we need to put a movie around it. Because Nigerians must know that our system does work. If we choose to work, that we have a system. So maybe you can criticize the police, but these guys are working.
Yes.
And we must project it in our
I don't know if
movies.
you saw the video. There was that guy wearing yellow that kept doing like, excuse me, I'm only a tenant here. They said, I'm not talking to you. So we'll see what happens to him. Like,
Please do not to Daily Sun. Daily Sun. Angry students blocked Lagos airport road. We never finished Punch.
we have not done Punch.
Oh,
We have not ended.
sorry, yo. I don't read Punch now.
No.
I never read. Oh, Punch. sorry. Okay, let me go on a break. When we come back, my brain will reset. Stay with us. We'll be back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with going with Punch. Queen Elizabeth's funeral. World leaders over 4 billion audience bid farewell. Sands react as Evans, an ex-soldier, backs 21 years. Corruption ruining Nigeria, fuel subsidy, organized crime, says Peter Obi. Students target Apapa port after airport road blockage. PDP or Tom One's article, Fayose sues for peace. NDLEA seizes 194 billion naira cocaine in Lagos, arrest 5. Buhari to launch the $100 billion SDG financing framework. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Let me start with the human interest.
Nobody took Queen.
No.
Okay, so the Queen was laid to rest yesterday, and our Vice President was there representing Nigeria. I think that's pretty much.
Yes, that's it. A human interest story here. A 31-year-old teacher, Idowu Daniel, has been sentenced to 7 years imprisonment for sexually assaulting a 16-year-old. The story was that she gave her confession, although in court, the court at first said that there wasn't enough evidence to prosecute him, because she never showed up in court. But based on her confession, he was prosecuted and sentenced to 7 years. He claimed that...
his confession.
Based on the victim's confession. But the court held that the confession statement by his confession, he said, according to his confession, he said that he fondled her and that even though he tried to have, sleep with her because she was a virgin, he didn't go as far. And we were like, first of all, you're the adult here. You're her teacher, and that's a minor. And because of that, definitely you have defiled a child. And so he was sentenced to 7 years imprisonment.
Wow.
To think that he thought that was a defense, that I didn't really go as far because she was a virgin. So if she was not, she would have deserved it.
Now, wow.
So Peter Obi was addressing the private sector organized by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, and he was talking about, I agree in almost the entire thing he said. So I agree also that he said that the first subsidy is an organized crime and that, is based on corruption. The magnitude of the fuel theft that is happening now cannot go unorganized. And I pity what will happen following precedents after the president leaves office as Minister for Petroleum. So aside him being president, he was Minister for Petroleum for the 8 years he was in office. And this is happening under his watch. The NNPC cannot claim, because NUPENG have come out to shout that they will go on strike. Pengassin have threatened to go on strike on this theft that is happening. And, for Peter Obi to be saying it, somebody will now say it's political. Things are happening. And, they are happening under the watch of the president. If President Jonathan had her properties forfeited after office, I wonder what will happen to the president, Buhari.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Benue State's governor, Samuel Ortom, is warning the People's Democratic Party's presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, and other chieftains to resolve the crisis and placate Wike ahead of the campaign season. He said that the leadership has failed to deploy their internal mechanism to resolve the crisis rocking the party, and ignoring Governor Wike will pose a great danger for the party. So he went ahead to say that they need to, as fast as possible, address the issues regarding Wike, that they had been unjust. It was an act of injustice towards him, and they need to sort it out. And I think also the Ekiti State governor also mentioned that nobody has said so far that Atiku is not the flag bearer, or that this Delta State Governor Okowa is not going to be the vice, that they are still in agreement, but they need to work together so that 2023 they will not lose out in the elections.
Okay, so Evans, alongside another, but Ayuba, were sentenced 21 years imprisonment, which is like a life imprisonment. A few sons have reacted. One was Professor Sam Irigbo said that he has several cases in the presence of the court, so presented to the courts, and this is just one of the sentences, so they're expecting much more. Another said that Oludarama SAN said that the sentence made no difference because Evans was already serving a life sentence. So, but many had also applauded the fact that this sentence came, it was Justice Oluwatoyin Taiwo of the Ikeja Special Offences Court that made the sentence yesterday of 21 years imprisonment for collecting $420,000 from the kidnapping
and possession of firearms.
Kidnapping Sylvanus Hafia and possession of firearms, yes. Okay, let's move on quickly now to Daily Sun. Angry students block Lagos Airport Road, target seaports. Government officials behind all thesis Obi. Court dismisses suit against Tinubu Obi over placeholders deputies. Bullion van attack, police arrest ex-DSS officer, brother, 8 other suspects. Southeast governors leaders need to unite to end insecurity, says Soludo. Nigeria needs 3.4 trillion to subsidize PMS in 2022, says Kiari. Bandits kidnap 60 church worshippers, demand 200 million naira ransom. 2023, Lawang Bajabiamila Kuka set agenda for candidates. And Prudential Zenith Insurance records 75% growth in profit after tax. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Okay.
And now, okay.
Placeholders. Can we quickly do that? So the...
Oh, you have the placeholders?
Yes,
Okay,
do you have it?
Go ahead.
Because the court struck out the suits, contesting the candidacy on basis of that placeholders arrangement they did. And he said that the person who filed as an SCN, Godi Uche, was unable to show justifiable grounds or reasonable cause of action in the suit, so the court struck it out.
So Anambra State Governor, Prof. Chukwuma Soludo, is calling for unity amongst governors and leaders of the Southeast region in order to tackle the insecurity in the zone. So he's recommending also the same measures across the country, saying that we cannot achieve a state that is free of insecurity without collaboration. Every state needs to collaborate, and he's doing his best to chase out a lot of unknown gunmen in the state. Said Anambra right now is relatively safe. They have been able to decimate about 15 criminal camps already, though there are still pockets of them here and there, but it's really not affecting the people of Anambra State. They are hosting their New Yam festivals, having their cardinal meetings and all that. So things are a bit, getting back to normal in Anambra State. But he still needs the governors to come together, to work together to ensure that they are able to fish out all of these insecurities, saying that all these people that call themselves unknown government, there's nothing like that. They are hiding under agitations to commit crime. Those are criminals. There's nothing like unknown. And those criminals should be fished out and dealt with so that they can have peace in Anambra State.
Okay, let me take this Vanguard. ASUU, travelers stranded as students block airport road. That's a hot topic. We'll take it a bit later. Some PDP governors, leaders working for Tinubu, say source. Auction vehicle, mother's son received over ₦1 million donations from public. Presidential candidate spokesman must run issue-based campaign, says Cooker and others. Evans' accomplice get 21 years jail. Northern governors call for state police a relief, says southern governors. Bandits abduct over 45 in southern Kaduna. Church demands 200 million in ransom. So I was going to take the story of the woman and her man and her son. If you recall, the story took the woman's son whose bus was auctioned off. And she was crying. She was a widow. She's spoken to Vanguard. She lived in Ogbaguda area in Lagos State. She's received donations. If you recall that story where, according to them, somebody had actually, they bought the van from somebody who was sold it to them at 1.8. They had actually only paid about 300,000. And then her son drove the bus on a one-way. And that's how the bus was impounded legitimately by the government. But she cried for help during the time it was auctioned off, and many came to her aid, one of which was the PDP candidate for Lagos State governorship, that's Jando, and his deputy were there. They gave her 500,000. A few other people, somebody from her church gave her, I think, 300,000, and people just put money together for her. So she has about ₦1 million now, a little over that, and she's hoping that she told her son clearly that never take one way again, because she cannot go through what she just went through. That her health is really down. She's going to use the money to treat herself, but she has warned her son sternly, never to take one way again.
That's what I like about this story, is that the lesson has been learned, and that people who were kind-hearted enough to help her also, because she herself, that's the mother, didn't deserve it, but the lesson has also been learned.
Exactly.
The governor of Ondo State and the chairman of the Southern Governors Forum, that's Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, has called for people to, to commend the Northern Governors and 19 Northern Governors and the Northern Traditional Rulers Council for asking that they need state policing as well. So agreeing that they need state policing as well. And he has said, he made a really big case about it, about how patriots should commend them for taking this stance. And he says that, the way the federal government, the way it's structured, yes, the federal government is supposed to do it, but given the present realities, insecurity, it will not work. The best way and what he calls the most pragmatic way to go about this is to have state policing. And he's happy that our northern governor counterparts are now on board. I just found it a bit interesting how he was talking, he was making a whole show about saluting their courage for agreeing to do this. I just feel there's some sort of...
There's no...
Yeah, I mean, I get it. He's happy that they are now on the same page. But to say salute their courage, when you overhype somebody for...
I don't think it's overhyping. I think they understand the back end, that it's not easy for them to come out
to
there
agree
to come out. So a lot because we've been pushing this state policing thing for many years. That's why I said we haven't had the boldness to pass it yet.
Okay.
So we're yet to have it passed. So now that people are coming out now.
So all patriots must salute all the 19 governors, the traditional council members.
Both north and south.
Yes, for pushing this.
All right, let's go on a break. When we come back, our hot topic are the students, the Nigerian students, who boldly came out yesterday to block the roads. What are your thoughts on this? Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the protest by the Nigerian students yesterday and the possibility of it happening again today. There's an angle of the police. We heard that the police weren't aggressive. They were rather civil this time around. I've not heard any reports of any fights anywhere. I think these are Nigerian students. So it shows that when students really do protest, they can be organized. I guess in them organizing themselves properly, should they have considered the motorists? Because I heard that their blockade actually was compounded by the rains. Now, God, it was difficult to get to the airports. So even if you, because I mean, you mentioned, you referenced the one that happened in the UK, which I also witnessed. Even though there was a shutdown, at least they were considerate enough to know that people had to get to work. So they told you, so during the work hours, they were available, might be a 45 minutes delay or 30 minutes delay, but there were trains and the buses. You need to having maybe like go there every 5 minutes. You might have it every 30 minutes.
Okay.
But at least there were buses to take you from point A to point B. So they were considerate of the fact that people had to get to work. So could these have been better organized where you protest, but at least allow some people to pass?
Their problem is as deep as our own. Their own problem is as deep.
Honestly, no vex
It's
them.
also because now roads block. So there's no emergency at the port. Me, I encourage them, they should go and shut down the port. Yes, so that government, when money is being lost, I think they'll take them seriously because we are paying amnesty and whatever through the NDDC to some people who we know clearly were criminals. These people have strong agitations. The airport might be affecting other people who want to get to their businesses, but the idea was to get government to see that we've, held down something. We've grounded something that works for you. So government must then turn and sit with ASUU. I don't think that ASUU's issues are so big that they cannot unsolvable. Yeah. I don't think it has. I think that any serious government must be seen ASUU's side.
Yeah.
Our institutions,
I think it's about priority, as you said.
It's
prioritizing.
Our institutions, are they good? If they were good, why did you, as government, send your children abroad? Is it an alternative? Not be an alternative.
Some government officials will tell you that my children are in Nigeria.
They're lying.
Some of them.
Even inside some of them. Most of those lecturers are doing. I told you, I asked as president that day. Most of those lecturers' children are also abroad. Yes. There's nothing that we are proud of. It is the poor man who cannot afford that option that is taking, and we cannot, as a serious nation, allow that option.
So if
we must be proud of our own institutions.
If we go by that point of view, now even the ASUU lecture, the actual lecturers, many of them are children are not here. The US, the government, many of their children are not here. So who is the suffering who?
It's the shame. That's why ASUU must force that shame. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
Let me take this call from Hassan. I'll come to you to see. Hassan, are you there?
Schools not work.
Good morning.
Good morning, Hassan. You're live. Go ahead, please.
Let me commend you for doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, sir.
Despite the fact that we are all human beings, we are bound to act.
Can't hear Mr. Hassan.
Good. Please, I would like to talk about two things. First of all, about this issue of students, and secondly, about Nima. Last time when she came on board, she spoke her comment about Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. Bala Mohammed is one in the middle. We are not also happy with the way he reacted. But what is very clear here, Nima made one statement that people from the north, mostly most of them are from the families of the affluent. That statement is erroneously expressed because it is only in the north where people grow from grass to grace.
Is this last week? Sorry, I can't recall what you're saying, Hassan. I'm not sure. I can't recall what he was referring to.
Oh,
okay, the spraying
money.
Oh, okay.
And her opinion on it.
That was last week, like Tuesday or something. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so I just wish that we have a government that would be sensitive to the plight of the people. That's where the problem is. And like Miriam rightly said from the beginning, the people you really want to pay attention, you are not going to get them with these strategic positioning. What will now happen is the ordinary person too, who is trying to make ends meet, go to work, have little money to take the children to school, will be affected because government is not doing what government is supposed to be doing. So the matter now is, wouldn't it be better that you sit down and understand how best can I get the government's attention? How best can I position this, whether it's protest or to those particular places where they cannot move, they cannot take the helicopter out, where do we say we should go to the House of Assemblies, we go to the government houses?
Where?
Yeah.
I'm agreeing.
Yeah.
I'm saying where exactly? All these places here. Where is it that
they come to, for instance, now, even our president and
are
device.
highly secured.
That's
It
the
won't
thing.
affect them.
That's
It
the
won't affect
thing.
them.
So how do
So
we
it's the
get
road that they'll
government?
pass that it affect them.
How do we get government to pay attention when
So
all these
I
ones are
think
not even
I think
affecting
they achieved that with this airport. What I'm saying, even though you
Did
block
they
it,
achieve it?
no, because they got our attention now.
Yeah, it got
They got
their
the media's attention. They got the
media
government's
is
attention.
talking. What
But
has government
so
done?
the point,
However, Mariah, quickly, yesterday I took the story in the paper where they said the Speaker of the House of Representatives is going to be having a meeting with ASUU today. Today is Tuesday. So maybe by evening or tomorrow, we will know if we got the attention. Because if nothing is done and ASUU doesn't go back to school, that means we still did not get the attention.
let me take
and
Alaji
everybody's just
Subara.
talking.
Come on, Alaji Subara, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
You're live. Go ahead, please. Thank you. Good.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think, let me just say this clearly. What is happening now with these students, it's not only, it's a disgrace to this country, and at the same time to the present government. Let me tell you something. This morning I heard from the radio, the Minister of Labor is saying that left with Minister of Education, it's ready for, it does not bother, and it's ready for even the strike to continue for more than 2 years. You can imagine. And of recent we had his own daughter graduated in a university. So it is because these people are not concerned. It's because they are not affected. And like I said, it's a disgrace to the country. It's good that the student went to the airport. Let the information go, let it spread internationally and so that they know the kind of government, is on sea and the way they are patronizing the children. Look, it's not only affecting the children, it's affecting the parents. And at this juncture, I'm even advising the parents to all come out. All of us cannot be sending our children to private institutions. Yeah. And what is the responsibility of government? Education is where government is supposed to be, concerned more. You understand? It's because they're not affected. That is the problem. So, they don't even go to the National Assembly. I support the issue of the international airport so that they can know the kind of government we are facing and the kind of attitude they are doing to our children. It's not accepted and, it is condemnable. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Alaji. So that's what I'm saying. That, so, obviously, blocking the airport is where you know that whether you like the government to pass. After all, you block them.
But you can make way through.
Yeah, of course. So they have the police to help them push a way through. But the point is that when we, the regular people, now get affected, we come and we lament. Somebody was saying on the radio also that he had an appointment in Abuja for a job. He couldn't make the flight. So he's been affected because of what happened yesterday. Hopefully he'll be able to still go later at some point. But the point is that regular Nigerians have been affected. So how do you protest without affecting other people? Or is the objective, therefore, to affect all of us? So we can all join this campaign and speak on this issue of ASUU strike.
The truth is that this protest is not just for the Nigerian students, it's for every one of us. Yeah. That's the truth. And we should join them in this protest because it does not make sense. Do you understand? Do you know we are sitting down talking about a whole country and the fact that there are many children sitting at home for 8 months and they have been unable to go back to school because government and ASUU have not come to a compromise. Do you understand? I'm sure in other countries they find it weird. I'm sure they cannot even understand it. So, yes, I understand that some things may have been stalled. Some people found it quite inconvenient. But the truth is that we should all be protesting. We should all be wearing a T-shirt that says, this is not right. This is not acceptable. I don't even get it. I don't even understand when they go to bed at night, how they sleep. 8 months, 9 months, are we going to stay a whole year? Okay, what is the plan? Is it saying, okay, let's give them 2 years and see if they will be tired? Is that the plan? Where is this heading?
We should shut it down forever.
I don't get it.
Since ASUU is not
Even
budging.
if we have a plan from government, say, okay, guys, let us remove subsidy tomorrow. And okay, so I'm just hypothetically speaking that I don't have money to pay ASUU. The only way I can get this money is let us remove subsidy tomorrow so we can save some money and give it to ASUU. Maybe if we have a proper plan from government. Because the fact that they're not even saying much, they're just telling us, oh, we've paid. How much have you paid? What is outstanding? How can we support in getting outstanding? Even parents. We're willing to give out 10,000 naira from their own money to support this cause.
Nobody's talking about that now.
Even Nigerians can say, okay, all of us will do GoFundMe for federal government. Let's go support them.
That they are still, I think they talked about it a few weeks ago.
Have they received it or they?
So if they need, that's priority. If they need the money for ASUU, why are they not pushing to receive the money so that they can sort out ASUU?
Let me take
Why
this
is
call.
anybody not talking about that?
Good morning.
So that the money enter. Okay, you're taking a call.
Good morning. Are you there?
Oh, my star.
Hello, sir.
Motorists, pick my call now.
Sorry, I do apologize. I have to let the lady land before I take the call. If not, you will not hear anybody anymore. Go ahead, Mr. Tony.
Motorists, how are you?
I'm very well, sir.
You have done my service almost 3 minutes.
Sorry, sir.
Well, speaking to all of you there now.
Okay, sir.
Well, concerning our price.
Yes.
You understand me? It's becoming unbecoming. You know, these are students, these are children. You understand me? We parents, we are disturbed about this issue. The one thing I want you to educate them that they will be hard fast is that Lagos is not the capital of Nigeria. They should go to Abuja, where we have our president residing, where we have our state president residing, where we have our rep residing, and all government officials residing. If what they are taking to Lagos and taking to Abuja, I'm telling you, before 24 hours, their issue will be listened to. So my advice to them is that they should take that issue to airport, because there's airport in Abuja. They should demonstrate something in Abuja.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tony.
You understand me? And besides that, I think they take the school fees. So they should take the ASUU and government to court for paying the school fees while starting the surrender. Starting the surrender for the school fees they pay. You understand me? So this thing should be looked into. They should sue government and sue ASUU, the parents or student union, sue them for school fees paid and starting the surrender. Because that it was for that. It was for that to let the students. And the lecture is not there.
All right.
So I think they take it to court. What will listen to them? They have a case.
Okay, that's another perspective. Yes, Bisi, you're going to something doing.
Yes, so I was saying that we talked about a few weeks ago about the Abacha loot. And what I see is that I don't know how we can ever get our government to prioritize education. Every economy that has progressed has always paid attention to education. We have problems of insecurity, education will solve it. We have problems of inflation, education will solve it. Every problem that we have today is because we are not equipped enough to provide solution internally. We're always going outside there, bringing solutions that we have not tested here to our local problems. And that's why we are where we are today. So I don't know how we can get the government to understand that what they are taking away from the Nigerian youth, they are taking away from Nigeria itself. And we cannot progress without education. However, it seems like there's a conspiracy theory, you know, I'm always talking about it, where they want to keep the poor where the poor will be forever and focus on themselves. Because you cannot explain why you're not paying attention to the students who are supposed to be in school, the members of your public and the masses, and yet your children are constantly graduating. They will come back, they will take the best of the jobs. And these other people are left on the ground the way you have met them. We need to prioritize education. The UN should be calling out to the federal government. The African Union should be calling out to the federal government. All these international organizations, nobody's saying anything about, they're not saying anything, they're not making noise. Everybody's just throwing away their face as if there's...
But every country has their own strike going on within it. So the truth is that, yes, we all have our issues. Yes, I hear that. But the truth is that every nation is sovereign enough to solve their own problems. So it's not until somebody come and say, oh, come on, what's going on? I hear that you guys have it. And we must be able to solve our problems.
Yes,
so internally, how do we fix the problem?
If you have a problem inside your family and you refuse to, your neighbor will hear.
The neighbor will hear.
And Hashem no day now. Because, see, I find it so embarrassing. It's so painful.
I'm telling you.
Do you know, recently I was thinking, I was talking to someone that I was considering going out of the country to school, something that was against something I ever believed in. Because where is the school that you can go now? Somebody recently did a master's in Nigeria here. Because of the length of the period, the strikes and everything, she do mad. We cannot continue the stress of it alone. We need to do better.
Absolutely.
We need to sit
We
up
have to
and do
wrap up
better.
on
And
this.
any leader that is coming here, coming in now, that does not have a proper plan
for education.
how
Forget
these
it.
things will run on its own as an institution without any effort from outside. And it will run, it will grow per time and increase period for things, reinvestment, infrastructure maintenance, all of those things for our public schools and universities. That person should just go and sit down.
Let me take a few comments and we'll wrap
Yes,
up on this. Yes.
Lawal says, don't blame NANS, that's the Nigerian Students Association, for their actions. We have been psychologically affected by the unending strike. I feel you guys in the media too should do more. How about shutting down for days in solidarity with students, not ASUU this time around, but then who would inform Nigerians, right? Then Festus Akiboyewa says, do the Your View ladies have any condemnation for ASUU? What ASUU has been striking for 40 years, for God's sake. ASUU is not beyond reproach.
But what have they done for us? Professor Fisayo Yomi says, structural violence occurs when those in government don't pay attention to falling education, primary health care, and road network. Currently in Lebanon, people take guns to the bank in broad day to get their savings when government said they should not collect cash. See Sri Lanka too, and they have several examples. I think even our neighbors.
This strike isn't fair to any Nigerian student at all. After all these delays, companies will come with their age brackets for employment.
Yeah. So they are saying we're not, tackling ASUU for the strike. Have you seen the deplorable states of the universities? You'll be ashamed for
it go pay you now.
It go pay you.
Okay, that's all we can take. I think in a
unlawful
nutshell, the truth is that the students do have a right to protest. I think the protest is getting the attention they require, and I think according to the reports today, they're planning on going to the ports, they're planning on going to the Milan Bridge, they're planning on going to Abuja also, was in the papers today. But I just want to appeal to the students that in all this, they should also be considerate of the other users, that we're all Nigerian, we're all parts of this country, and business must go on. And secondly, I must applaud the police for being very civil, for ensuring the safety of these students, especially because in times past, we've seen how hoodlums take over this protest and then begin to start burning tires and hair. But that hasn't happened since, I didn't see that report since yesterday. So I'm happy that the police is there protecting the students. Please continue to do your job and be as civil as possible so that this doesn't degenerate into something else. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we'll move on to our health topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining us on the show is a medical doctor, Dr. Iroro Yahere. He's a medical doctor. He'll be discussing diabetes mellitus in children. This is a topic we've taken some years back, but it's an issue that we must bring to the fore again because nobody's talking about diabetes in children enough. You can join the conversation. Call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTVC so we can read your tweets. Thank you, sir, for coming and joining us on the show.
Thank you very much, Mariah.
Doctor, diabetes in children, people always think, oh, it's my fault. Is it what I fed him? Is it what I fed her? Is it, am I doing the wrong things? Parents always feel like it's something that had to do with what they did that causes diabetes. So what's the cause of diabetes in children?
So there are two types of diabetes, the type 1 and then the type 2. Type 1 diabetes, genetic mutation, nobody's fault. Mother and father give the genes, and then during that conception, there's a mutation. It's nobody's, we tell all the parents, it's not your fault. Now for type 2 diabetes, this is where lifestyle, affluence, diet comes into play. Because an obese child is very likely, I mean, there's 3 times likely to become diabetic if not properly taken care of. So when you talk diet, familial tendencies, you see the chubby mother, the chubby father, and then the chubby children. Everybody's eating that same kind of diet, not the Mediterranean. Unfortunately, our diet is very fattening. What we grew up with is something that allows us to want to conserve energy because there was always that time of lack.
Yes.
So what they call the thrifty gene is to take and then store. Take and then store. And we grew up with that. But when you become very energetic, you're working very hard. I mean, those that were the laborers, you would see that they're not so chubby and fat. They're very athletic, and then they keep to their diet. Even if they take all that plenty thing, as long as you're burning it out. So it's intake and output. As long as output takes intake, you're likely to remain where you are. For us adults now, it's a different ballgame. It's not like children. The children will run, they will do all of that. But when the children don't run and do all of that, and they take all these ice creams, candies, cakes, chocolates, and then they go to bed without doing the major activities that will help them release the energy. They will conserve the energy, and then by the time they're getting towards their teens, diabetes is setting in.
Oh, wow.
It may not show overtly, but there are markers.
Yeah.
Now, you've seen some ladies or some children with this black ring around their neck.
Yes.
Or around the axilla. You think that is dirt.
Beauty.
Dirt, they're not
Yes, it's
bathing
just
them.
dark,
So
yes.
that's acanthosis nigricans.
Whoa, what does that
But
mean?
break down.
Sorry, dear. It's acanthosis nigricans. It's a sign of insulin resistance. So insulin is the common denominator for diabetes. If insulin is deficient or not working properly, that person is likely to have diabetes. So for type 1, there is no insulin because the body has damaged the cells that produce insulin. But for
And that's
type
the
2,
genetic one.
Yes, that's the genetic one. Now for type 2, there is insulin resistance. Let's do this mental picture. A factory is producing cars. Then there is too much demand for the cars. And then the factory that did not have the capacity to produce 100 now needs to produce 1 million a day.
Yeah.
Of course, they will be defective.
Yes.
They won't work the same way they are supposed to work. And that's what happens with type 2 diabetes because the body has become so big, the number of insulin that is needed to work in all of these cells is not enough. Or you're now producing too much and it's not working as well as it should. So that is the layman term for layman discussion for. But in all of these, once someone has that bigness, that tendency towards being big, they need to start preventive measures.
Okay.
And preventive measures are not too difficult. Well, they're not too difficult per se. Cut down on the diet, do more exercises. Before those arthritis, those
That's
pains.
what my question.
Yes, okay.
Because we joke about it that, give the kids sugar, they need it.
No.
Let them run around, So how can a child be insulin or
Resistant.
insulin resistant?
Okay, so,
they're supposed to be active.
Yeah, so when you say give the child sugar, sugar is refined, sugar is oligosaccharide, monosaccharide, disaccharide. So why not just give them the oligosaccharide, the larger starch, instead of the refined sugar? Because if you give them the larger starch, it takes time to develop into
So
the...
that will be in their food?
Yes.
As opposed to candies?
As opposed to candies,
And so
yes.
I meant, when I said sugar, I meant candies,
Okay, so
juices.
But you said give them these candies because they need
Yeah, they need
energy. Yeah. So they need energy, no doubt about that. All children need energy for growth, but not the energy that is so refined that you just keep downing because you're not doing you're not burning that calorie. But if you take a bar rice or at least you will chew, and then it goes in there and then it gets digested. Energy is building up gradually, unlike the one that the energy just rises up like that. The refined sugar, and then it stays there doing nothing, unless it is the energy they need for their games to run. They want to do sports, and you say, okay, take glucose D, which we used to have when we were back there during sports.
Yeah.
You give them glucose D, do that race, and then.
Yeah, I think we should also talk. Maybe use the opportunity to just talk to parents because. Lifestyle has changed a lot. Children are not, for many reasons, we're not sending our children out to play. We're keeping them at home to keep them safe. They're in traffic to get to school, and then in school sitting down, they come back, through traffic sitting down. They come home, have their lunch or whatever snacks that they have, and they do their homework or they are camped in front of the TV. Once that's done, they are off to bed, and in between, they are constantly eating. And is because this is now like our lifestyle, we're trying to protect our children. What would you advise would be a better diet or time to eat or portions to give children in this, with this change of lifestyle?
There are two prongs to this, diet and then the exercise. So diet, everybody talks about this Mediterranean diet. Have you heard of it before? Yeah, it's not our diet. We're not used to all those things.
They're not available in our market.
No, they are available. They may be more expensive, but they are available. Quite, yeah.
Vegetables.
Vegetables. You have cucumber, you have carrots, you have cabbage, all those kind of things. How do you advise a child to take these things that are not palatable? I mean,
That's sweet.
yeah, even for us adults, by the time you want to take cucumber, it's kind of work. But it's something that needs to change over time. It's not a 10-year thing, but it's a gradual process, because when you travel out, you don't want to eat those things that it's very difficult for you. You always want to go back to your African.
Yes.
But lifestyle change, start talking about it today. Get them to have that portion size. You have these plates. When we were in primary school, Mayflower, then they had these plates that were divided in three. You have the carbohydrate here, the protein, and then the vegetables. And then you can always mix them. It's a wheel. Today, this portion that is very large with carbohydrate, change it to protein the next time, change it to vegetables. And monkey see, monkey do. You eat your vegetables, your children see you eating your vegetables, they will eat their vegetables. It's almost always like that.
That is when both parents are in alignment.
My sister.
That's one. Secondly, where does the genes, what sort of role does, would I say, the genes play in cases of, for instance, an overweight child or an underweight child? So I've seen cases where a child really eats seriously heavy lumps of food, but then because of the metabolism, that child is slim. And that child could have been diagnosed as diabetes, but the child is slim. And then you have another child that eats almost as much, but the child is big. And when you're sharing the food, you are telling the big one to take the small portion, and it seems like, Mommy, you don't like me. How do you balance that sort of...
So you just mentioned something now, energy. The metabolism of that person is high. Genetics really doesn't play, because it's not all of them who are that slim, eat a lot, and then don't get fat. It's not a genetics, but for the fat one, there is genetics.
Okay.
There are the MRC4 genes, not very common in Nigeria or in Africa, but outside there, it's really very, or maybe because we've not mapped it. Yes, maybe because we've not mapped it, because I've seen some children come to me, they're quite big, and then they have these markers, these skin things that show me that it's looking like it's MR4 gene, and then you want to send these genetic studies out. It's not very, it's quite expensive to do this. But let's move on from that. You understand that this child's metabolism is high. There's nothing you can do about that. You have to give this child this food. This other one that is quite big, and you tell portion control, give something else that is not caloric. That's what you can give the cucumber, you can give the carrots. And I was going to go to that diet now. Cucumber, carrots, cabbage, all of these have low glycemic indices, especially for our children with diabetes. And we encourage them to take these kind of diets. This thing we call the Mediterranean diet. Give it to them. Make it very palatable for them to. They see you eat. You just pick up the carrot and crumb, and then they want.
Because we're African mothers, if your child is down, the child has malaria, or he just needs paracetamol. So, how would you say it will present if a child was diabetic? How would you know? What exactly would you say?
Okay, yeah, so diabetes has 3 classical symptoms. Excessive urination. The child that was not bedwetting before, you notice that at night starts enuresis, bedwetting. Drinking water excessively, yeah. During the heat, they will drink, but this one is excessive. It's more than usual. Because as he's taking the water, he's going to wee. Then weight loss. These prongs, or eating too much. Because diabetes is too much glucose in the system, but it's not getting into the cells, into the body, the muscles, the liver, the skin that needs the glucose. Because there is no insulin to open that lock for the door to enter, for the glucose to go into the cells, and then you start metabolizing it. So the glucose remains in the blood, and then it goes to the kidney. The kidney will urinate, pull out all the water, and then the person starts dropping weight. Now, because the child needs energy, he needs to get that energy from somewhere, and then he starts burning out fat. That's why you see some of them at the point of, I mean, there's a video I have of one of my patients. She was so lean, thin, you could just see skin on bones. But immediately we started the insulin therapy. 2 days later, she was up and about. This was someone that would have died if we did not intervene as soon as possible.
Let me go on a quick break, because I'd like to ask you to talk about what are things we can do to reduce some of these symptoms in our children. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying. We were still discussing childhood diabetes, and I was talking about preventive measures. I mean, my husband forces my children to drink apple cider vinegar every single day. Like, in his mind, it's the best way. I don't know what he's trying to prevent. He just feels that all the sugar that they are consuming, because every day it's party pack here, party pack there, eating this. So in his own mind, once they drink the apple cider in the morning,
they are good.
So in the morning, when he goes for exercise, he comes back, does a bottle for them, tells the help, please, share it into 4 cups. All of them, drink. Does that make any sense?
How active are your kids?
Well, they are pretty active. I mean, I try to get them active around the compound. They run around, come back lessons. Yeah,
so my son eats bigger than my 3 daughters, but he's the slimmest. Yeah, he's very active. He runs around. He's just, and that's how most of us were back when we were growing up, because this insecurity wasn't there. We would, yeah. I mean, my younger brother broke his arm falling from the tree that was in front of our house. Outside here, there are parks. Knowing that the sedentary lifestyle can overtake and then overwhelm the health system. So they build parks. In the evenings, you see parents priming the little ones, and then the other ones walking. 1 hour, just burn that little calories, and then come back home, take a cup of tea or something, and then go to bed. That's the family unit. It's not easy, especially in a state like Lagos or River State.
Get home by 9 p.m.
Yes, I mean, what time do you have to do all that? But if you have a little treadmill or something, discipline, just tell your children they need to do this workout. If those have the tendency to get big. But if we come back to the, in quotes, poor people, you still see them very big. You still see the children of the poor, those market women, you see them very big, and then that's because they take plenty of starchy food. No, starchy food.
If they turn them.
Yeah, they just down, and then they eat late at night. That's another thing that we don't talk about very often. You can't eat after 7 and think you will not gain weight. You will.
Oh, wow.
There is no way, because after 7, there is no activity again but sit down, TV or sleep or homework. There's nothing else again. And then there is no sun to help you with the heat for you to burn out the...
I don't understand.
Let this man talk.
So
now.
the other thing is...
After 7, that's when kids come in.
Yeah, no, but that's when you start... Well, it's a very difficult thing, but there are disciplines, there are things that you can do. There are things that you can just sit you. And then another way is this: know your weight, have your numbers. Okay. Everybody should know their numbers. pick up your weighing scale, your height won't grow more than after 20 years. Your height is very unlikely to grow more than. So take that weight and have a set target. Once you meet that target, then everything revolves around that target. It's
Must
not
the
going to
target
be
be
easy.
slim? Can't
No,
we
no,
have
no.
body and
See,
be okay?
yeah, you can have body. You all look okay, but again, if you don't weigh on that target, the chances that you will over
So there's a
explode.
range in which you're healthy.
Definitely.
Beyond that range, you can be
Yeah,
unhealthy.
you can become something else. So for your children who your husband will give this apple cider, it's a prevent, you don't know what he's doing. And then again, discipline. After a while, the children will be the ones asking for the apple cider.
Is it good for kids?
So like I don't know how
quantity,
big your
yeah,
kids, and it's not, it's a tinge inside a cup of water and then they drink it. It helps them cleanse, they go to toilets and then their metabolism is better, optimal. I'm not saying everybody should go doing apple cider. It's what works for you. What works for you. For me, my kids eat. In fact, in my head, I don't think they eat well enough, but my boy eats them. But they are active. They run, they play. Even when this holiday, they're on their computer games, but they still know that they will go to the little pool. They run around, they ride their bicycles. It's a little compound, but if you have a neighborhood, have someone walk with them or take them around that ride.
Now, is diabetes curable for children? Because parents who are having to deal with this as a disease, right, are thinking, am I going to be doing medication all my life?
Yeah, so type 2 diabetes, largely curable.
Yeah.
When I say largely curable, is lifestyle changes. Type 1 diabetes, not curable. That child needs to be on insulin for the rest of their life.
Wow.
For the rest of their life. I'm talking from 2 years. My youngest patient was 2 years old when we started. He's about 13 now, and he's doing very well. He's had a couple of complications, diabetic ketoacidosis, but they're doing very well. But for the type 2, yes, it's curable. Curable in the sense that you've made the diagnosis, you've seen that it is type 2, insulin resistance. You start the lifestyle changes there and then. Sometimes it's even better to start the lifestyle changes before you start medications. Because then they get disciplined and understand that if I don't do this, then it will get to the point where I'll start taking injections. And that's what we tell them. It's not easy because children would want to eat bread, cakes, biscuits, Coke. They want to drink their Cokes and the rest. But once you start a disciplined lifestyle for them, tell them that this is your height. You are going to grow this height again, but you're not going to exceed this weight. Get that target to them. Get a dietitian. We have wonderful dietitians. Michelle works very well with us. We give them targets, and they usually would meet that target within a month, 3 months, 6 months. So in all of these, for type 1 diabetes, which is the very difficult one, some parents would hear the diagnosis and, okay, can't I give my child my own pancreas, my islet cells? No. They've tried many things.
Wow.
The best that they do outside this country now is the injection pumps. Yeah, well, stem cell will come. Injection pumps are the insulin pumps. So it just fixed to the skin, and then there's a device that tells that the blood sugar is high, and then the insulin just gets delivered by itself. You just press a button, and then the insulin delivers.
Go now.
Yeah, so then it was $4,000. I don't know how much it is. Yes, it's an option, yes. Now, for the stem cell one, the stem cell one is not likely to work because stem cell is usually to help produce antibodies. But it is your antibody that is damaging the pancreatic islet cells. So if you bring in more antibodies, it's not likely to do much.
Because we have very little time, let me just really ask, because usually when your child is losing weight, maybe pain, and you're not sure if it's diabetes, and you take the child to the doctors, you don't even remember to tell the doctor that my child is peeing more than that because you don't even think it's a problem.
Yeah.
How soon or what can the parent do? Because when you go to doctors, they just say you malaria or typhoid. They don't. So how do we get diagnosis? Your parents are not sure.
This is Nigeria, where if your child is losing weight, they say it's growing tall.
It's growing tall. Now he wants to give you hey, is he eating beans? Are you eating beans? He was asking if you are giving him beans.
Okay, so the good thing about medicine now is there are steps.
Okay.
The child comes to you, my child is losing weight. Once a doctor hears my child is losing weight, he's supposed to know to ask questions around the digestive system, ask questions around the respiratory system, cardiovascular system, and eventually the endocrine system. And that will tell those very normal questions that they will ask. Is he urinating frequently? And then they just test the urine. The child just there and there pee, and then they test the urine with a glucose stick. And then they see glucose in the urine. And then the next thing is to test the blood. Good thing, many of us now have insurance. And then there's a new one that is coming by the Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria. They're rolling out the healthnomics, where HMOs, and once you have HMO, they can streamline all of the panels for you. My child comes in, I know I need to test that's the simplest test, urine test, before you do the glucose test. And all of you can actually have the urine test in your homes.
Okay, so
and I actually encourage, because when you were pregnant, you probably were doing your urine for glucose and protein, right? So do the same for the children. Once you see that child,
at the hospital.
No. I encourage people. See, there are only 2,900 lecturers that are medical doctors in Nigeria today, because many of them are jetting out. So you have to learn. You have to have this. Yes, you have to learn this, because we may not be enough anymore to take care of.
Are you Japan?
Hey. Not yet.
Doctor, that your hair was very, very... It was like you cut it.
No.
Because your entire family are doctors, though.
Yeah, no, we just did a poll, the medical and dental, and actually 65% of us want to leave the country.
Want to leave or have left?
No, want to leave. The ones that have not left, they want to leave. Okay. And it's not far-fetched.
We gotta go. Thank you very much, doctor. Please don't go. Beg your sister not to go. Beg your wife not to go. All your family members are doctors. Please beg them not to go.
That's a whole family.
This
go
country
better. Nigeria go better.
So the other thing is, like I told you,
Okay. Run out of time.
Well, just if you can go Nigrowth, NIGROWTH.com. Use it to check your body mass indices.
Okay.
It's free right now. Yes.
Yeah.
Get it. Check your body mass index. After 20, just say that you are 20 years old. And then it tells you that you are obese, or you are underweight, or you are overweight.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That's a good information. That's all we can take on today's show. Join us tomorrow for another exciting episode. Bye for now.